Today, I want to talk about some of the concerning signs that I've seen in the market over the past couple of days, and maybe some things that you should be aware of moving into the future with the cryptocurrency market. And just be aware of it and be cautious because I'm starting to see some signs that maybe we are going to start seeing some of the more sketchy activity within the industry start to maybe crumble a little bit. And that's starting with Bitconnect. So, Bitconnect right now, we're at rank 21 at the moment. It's really not down that much on a dollar level at all. What's interesting to me about Bitconnect recently and what I've really seen with Bitconnect is that the major promoters of Bitconnect are starting to cash out. And if you look at Trevon James, he's probably one of the biggest people that promoted Bitconnect and is starting to cash out now so that he can buy a house. He seems to basically have lost interest in YouTube for the most part. I think he's continuing to do it in a lot of ways to make money. Perfectly fine. But it is interesting to note, if I go back to the beginning of his channel, he used to work. I don't remember what the job is, but basically, he'd have to get up before 6 a.m. in the morning, and, you know, he had a normal life. So he's cashing out of BitConnect. He's buying a house. He's going to have a happy life. He's done with cryptocurrencies. This channel will be dead likely within the next year or so. Okay, maybe it'll still be around. It depends on whether or not he still wants to have that revenue stream from it or not. I'm not really sure whether he will or won't. But the likelihood is, if I look at this channel a year from now, there likely will be no content or no new content. Okay? Realistically. Sonny Decree recently decided to quit BitConnect, and that was a fairly controversial subject as well. He decided that he wanted to cut his ties with BitConnect. And what's interesting to me is, first of all, his community was all, of course, backlash on it because most of his community actually invest in BitConnect. And as a result of that, people were all upset with him because they basically were calling out what they themselves were investing in. Not always the best thing in the world, right? So it's just interesting to me watching situations like this one, right? He's another person that's kind of cashing out of it, taking all the referral links out. Why is he doing this? Because there's starting to be signs that maybe BitConnect won't be around all that much longer. And in the event that it isn't around that much longer, you don't want to be associated with it when it goes down. Because if you're associated with it when it goes down, then you're considered to be somebody that's unethical, so on and so forth. So he's essentially doing CYA. And if you know what that is, then I really think that tends to be what he's doing. And, there's other examples as well. You have Craig Grant, the guy that probably is advertising on this video as we speak. He cashes out of BitConnect all the time. It's all in his Exodus wallet. We have CryptoNick here. CryptoNick is still investing in the BitConnect platform, although historically he has said that he doesn't believe that BitConnect will likely be around in the long term. Also, I actually haven't seen this video from him yet, so maybe I will make another little add-on to this video. I'm not sure or not, basically talking about what the hell he has to say here. But he is now focused on basically selling a course for $497, I believe it is. And this is all clickbait. And don't get me wrong, I know how to clickbait. If you go to my YouTube channel, I have done plenty of clickbaiting. But the point of his videos, or the clickbait of his videos, is how you can get rich quickly, right? And what's happening at the moment with him is he's now trying to move his revenue stream from BitConnect, which is starting to become less and less stable, and move it over to something else like the course that he wants to sell. And he'll continue moving on to more and more revenue streams because it's so easy in this particular market to make money doing almost anything. And that's another warning I wanted to provide to everybody. Every single YouTuber that you see, every single one of them, including myself, and I want to be very clear about that, including myself, is attempting to make money off of this venture. and everybody is motivated by money in varying degrees. My goal is to make money in a legitimate way, but there are going to be times that I come off like a sleazeball. I will in the future try to create some sort of product that I sell you all. What I want to emphasize about all of this is that every single person that you watch in the cryptocurrency scene right now on YouTube, for the most part, is all about trying to make money. They're all motivated by profit to some extent. That includes Data Dash, that includes Crypto Daily, that includes everybody. My warning is this: you need to be able to weed out the people that want to do it legitimately from the people that don't want to do it legitimately. Okay? And at some point in the future, I might make a video of YouTube channels that I see as legitimate versus ones that I don't see as legitimate. You guys know I love Data Dash. I've watched his videos for quite some time. He's inspiring in a lot of ways from what he does, I really believe. In terms of his content, I actually think he's legitimate. I think he does everything. He believes in everything that he says for the most part. So I'm a fan of Data Dash. I'm a fan of Crypto Daily. I'm a fan of Box Mining. I'm a fan of Ivan on Tech. There's a number of different cryptocurrency YouTubers that I like quite a bit. And you just have to be mindful. When you watch content on YouTube like this, just be mindful of that. That's all I want to say. I just wanted to give everybody that warning. Everybody should be careful. Even this warning in itself will make people trust me, which will then make people not trust me because it sounds like it's this whole reverse psychology thing. Look, that's fine. I'm fine with skepticism. What I'm not fine with is blind trust. You should not blindly trust me. You shouldn't blindly trust anybody else on YouTube at the moment. So that's that. Okay? Now we get to move on to something else that was interesting that happened recently, and that was the situation with Tether. They got hacked recently and apparently lost $30 million worth of Tether. Bitcoin went down at the exact time of that announcement for the hack. Quite a bit, I might add. It was even more substantial, I believe, on some of the other exchanges. And essentially what we saw here is people are starting to lose faith in Bitfinex. They're starting to lose faith in Tether. I will tell you that Bitfinex, this guy that talks about Tether, talks about Bitfinex, and talks about this whole theory in terms of what's going on and the Ponzi scheme and how they're trying to pump essentially Bitcoin by printing illegitimate currency that's not real, it's not backed by anything. If you are unfamiliar with anything I'm talking about, number one, I would recommend searching this guy up on Google, and his Medium articles will likely come up. Read those. I also have a video on YouTube talking about the situation in both how the Bitcoin bubble will pop as well as is Tether committing fraud. I would tell you that at this point, there's no way for us to definitively say that this is what's happening and that Tether is in fact a fraud or isn't a fraud. What I can tell you is that even if it isn't a fraud, at some point, a government is going to come after it, because there is no way that the government is ever going to allow a third party in the long term to issue a cryptocurrency backed by its fiat currency. It's just not going to be a thing, I think, that these governments allow to have happen. So I think even if it's not a fraud, even if it doesn't happen, even if they actually have $1 backing every single Tether, it doesn't even matter in my opinion, because there's so much risk associated with Tether being shut down at any given moment. And we already know that they're struggling with their banking. Now they're getting hacked. They have printed an absurd, and I mean a truly an absurd amount of Tether in the past month since the beginning of November. I mean, seriously here. You can see the market cap of Tether has gone up from, roughly at the beginning of November, we were at 451 million Tether, and now we're all the way up at 670, 2 million? 675 million, essentially, Tether. That's insane, okay? The amount of Tether that's been created in such a short period of time, in my opinion, there is so much sketchy activity going on with this. Whether or not everything that Bitfinex says is true, that's up to you, okay? I actually tend to think that we can't be certain about everything. However, I will say there's enough things that don't work out here that there's something going on and you should definitely be cautious when it comes to what's happening in the market at the moment. Okay, so these are the two major things that I'm worried about at the moment. Number one, Tether is starting to look more and more risky. I think we're starting to see more and more clashing going on between Bitfinex and Bitfinext, which is kind of funny. And I'm starting to see more and more people have doubt in Tether. If you go to the cryptocurrency Reddit, you will find a ton of people talking about how awful Tether is and how they believe that Tether is in fact a scam and this and that. You're basically seeing people really have zero faith in Tether, despite the audits, which again, nobody really has any faith in. So even though they have actually published some audits, again, it's just one of those things. It doesn't make a difference. Anyway, the point of all of this is to say, don't put your money in Tether. I've said this before, but don't do it. Obviously, don't put your money into Bitconnect. That's even more true now because I am starting to see a lot of signs that Bitconnect is about to fall. I really am. I'm starting to see some serious signs that Bitconnect is about to fall. It may not happen if Bitcoin continues to have the bull stretch that it's having. It's actually very difficult to be able to time when a Ponzi scheme will collapse, just like it's difficult to call the top of a bubble. So I'm not saying that Bitconnect is going to collapse tomorrow. I'm not even saying it's going to happen next month. But I do have a feeling that we are starting to see the first signs of their business model falling apart, which is the people that are referring to the program are starting to cash out more and more. They're starting to refer less people. Some people are starting to cut their ties with Bitconnect because they want to start pursuing other means by which to make money. So all in all, I will tell you at this point, I think we're getting to the point with Bitconnect that I don't care who you are, even if you're just trying to make a quick profit, which again, that's off of the backs of other people, but they're greedy people. Again, ethical gray zone, basically. Point is, regardless of who you are, if you're trying to make a quick buck or if you're trying to get rich over the long term or whatever your opinion is of Bitconnect, by the way, it is a get rich quick scheme. Whatever your opinion is, don't invest in it now. It's no longer worth it. The risk is far too high. And then in terms of Tether, again, people like to cash out of other cryptocurrencies into Tether. Don't do it anymore. Okay, don't take the risk, not even in the short term. Don't do it, maybe for 1 to 5 minutes, and I wouldn't even do it for large amounts. Seriously, at this point in time, I would not even touch Tether. It's not worth the risk associated with it, especially as things get worse and worse and they issue more and more Tether. So just be real cautious when it comes to those two things. And I'm starting to see other situations that are similar to this. In other words, we had this situation with, however you say this, Confido. This was an ICO, and I don't really know the details behind it. I know enough to know that essentially there was some skepticism about it going into it. I don't really pay attention to ICOs, by the way. This is why I don't really keep up with these things aside from when situations like this happen. Apparently, this guy has, initially was talking about, how great the project was going to be. And then essentially we had this lockup of 4.5 million tokens. He keeps saying how essentially they were going to fix the problem. Then he made this official announcement where he talked about the fact that, he was completely surprised by the fact that everything went down, the social media went down, everything went down. And then he went on to say essentially that there was very little responsibility because he was just an employee, and he continues to, be there for the community. And everybody says, oh, you rock, and everybody thinks that you're amazing, and you think that essentially you're somebody that is legitimate, you're hardworking, you're somebody that's honest, you got caught up in a bad rap, and this and that, and this and that. And, I look through this guy's post history here, and I look at what this guy has said, and the probability that this guy had zero idea of what he was doing. If this guy did not realize what he was dealing with was complete bullshit, then this entire cryptocurrency space is screwed. It's truly screwed. This is why you shouldn't even touch anything that's remotely new, okay? Or anything that's unproven. which funny enough is most things. So I guess what I should say is nothing that's, brand new, right? Don't touch it. Okay, don't touch ICOs for the most part. Okay, unless you really know that you're essentially gambling, don't touch them. Okay? This market at the moment is in a situation where it is all about getting rich quickly. And by the way, the verdict is in. Bitcoin, it's in a bubble. It's absolutely in a bubble. Okay? The only thing that's supporting the value of Bitcoin at the moment is the store of value argument. In terms of being used as a transaction medium, you can completely forget it. I'm serious. You can completely forget it. Bitcoin's not being used as a transaction medium. It's not going to be adopted as a transaction medium, and we are years away from that being a reality. I know that was kind of a big bombshell to just kind of drop into this video, but this video is all about reality. This is all about realizing the market we're trading in, and people I think realize this now, but this market we're trading in at the moment is completely emotion and dream oriented. It's all about what can happen and nothing about what will happen, or nothing about how soon or how long it's going to take to implement some of these solutions, and more realistically, what the value of these things should actually be worth today. And we're going to talk about that in the future here. The point is, this market is completely driven by sentiment. I'm not saying sell anything, because right now there's a lot of money to be made off of the fact that this is all driven by sentiment. However, be aware that you are not investing in the future yet. Or maybe you are, but you're not paying for the future. The reason you're getting so much or paying so much for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is because everybody else is excited about something that's not even remotely close to where you think it is. Most people think it is. So realistically here, we're going to talk about that. We're going to start getting this channel. We're going to have split videos. We're going to have videos that are realistic like this one, and we're going to have videos that talk about the sentiment in the market, and we're going to talk about how you make money, because that's what people are focused on. That's kind of what matters to a lot of people, and let's be honest, that's what matters to me just as much as it matters to you guys. But I still think the long term with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and all of these Ponzi schemes that we see, especially Bitconnect, I'm going to keep an eye on those things because they will affect price, okay? Certainly will affect price. And then the second thing is that it helps us really put into perspective, these things that we're looking at right now, they are supported by nothing more than hopes and dreams, not reality. And when things are supported by hopes and dreams, you should be prepared for when the rug or carpet or whatever the analogy is you want to say, the cloth, gets pulled from the table. Be prepared. That's all I'm going to say. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. It's kind of ironic that I mentioned everybody's about money in this field, and right at the end here I always plug my Amazon affiliate links in the description, and that's exactly what I'm going to do now. If you would like to support me, if you click any of those links and then make an order on Amazon within the next 24 hours, I will receive a small amount of compensation for referring you over to Amazon, so check those out if you're interested. Otherwise, leave a like, comment, and subscription, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Be careful.